It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Karen.
My name is Itai.
And welcome back to all our lovely listeners out there. Always an absolute delight to be with you yet again on the same couch as we always are.
Love the couch.
Itai, what's been happening? There's a lot going on for you at the moment. You're in, you're out, you're up, you're all about.
I know.
Talk to me.
Well, I just came back from the nature.
Yeah?
Which is always a
What's
delight.
that?
It's a place
Who
where...
is that?
Originally, we all came from there, but now we are trying to detach ourselves from it and pretend like we're not a part of it, which I'm totally in for.
Oh, I'm so into it. I heard someone the other day saying, my 10-year plan is just to live in the Dandenongs. And I was walking down Chapel Street, which is like an inner city street in Melbourne, and I was like, how can that be the end game of your 10-year plan? Like, I can't think of anything more isolating and being left alone in the nature with my thoughts. Like, I want to be in the city with my thoughts and everyone else's thoughts.
Exactly. I want to feel important while I'm, sipping my soy latte. Like, I don't want to be in nature next to an animal. And
Yeah.
Anyway, but somehow I keep going back to nature, even though I really love the 24 hours neon lights of a supermarket. Sorry if you hear any noise. Someone's taking the
taking
trash.
out their garbage in this apartment block of 100 billion apartments that we cannot control.
Anyway, so the nature was fine. I was on a school camp, so I was doing my role as being a teacher. It was lovely. I was there with year 7s. They were really nice.
Great year.
I was being my full self and, promoting my vegan agendas. Like one morning, one of the students asked me, what are you eating on your toast? Like, how you can't eat butter. And I was like, I just snapped my fingers and said, it's Natalix, which is like it's a fake butter. It's like margarine. And then there was a few year 7 girls walking around me, the whole camp, snapping their fingers and saying, it's Natalix. And I was like, am I the gay sassy teacher? Is that...
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't be the gay sassy personality in every space I'm in.
Wow.
I want to be diverse.
I think that could possibly take off, snapping of fingers and being like, it's Natalix, bitch.
I know.
Itai, 2019.
You know what? If it makes more people eat Natalix, which is essentially petrol, it's gasoline, oil. But, I don't know. If the cow doesn't suffer and you eat petrol instead, I'm like, do it.
Yeah, and if the popular kids are doing it, then do it.
Exactly, because the popular kids knows best.
You mentioned there's a phrase that the young people have now started saying.
Yeah.
What was that? I remember thinking this is amazing.
It's a flex. The phrase is to say when someone... So I asked them explicitly what it means, even though I risked looking uncool. I asked, what does it mean? Because I really wanted to deliver that to our listeners in an honest, authentic way. So they said that you say, if someone brags about something or find a weird connection in the conversation to mention something about themselves, then you say, wow, that's a flex. So it basically, if you're talking to someone and then they drop, oh yeah, I'm doing it. I'll talk about it on my podcast, I do all the time. Then people would say, "Oh, that's a flex." No one asked.
Yeah.
No one really gave you that conversation lead to mention that you have a podcast or that you signed up for a gym, for example.
Yeah. So when I'm when that time Diane Keaton liked my post on Instagram, it's a flex, right?
Exactly.
I'm just dropping it in convo.
Well, it's not a flex. It depends. If people are like, oh, who's Diane Keaton? Is that someone that we're supposed to know? Then that's not a flex. But if they know her, then that's a flex.
Okay, it's a flex and it's nutlex, bitch. Being some new phrases that you've learned on camp.
Yes. Another thing that happened this week was the serial killer post. So we spoke about in our last episode about serial killers and their star signs, and we then posted the list that was sent to us. We posted it on the Instagram, and there was a lot of comments and a lot of criticism, and I got some respectful hate mail on the Instagram, on the DMs. So people were saying that this list is very biased and it's only put those star signs, but actually Charles Manson was a Cancerian.
I love that there's a whole explosion that happened on Instagram. Like, I like being part of the anger and the controversy. It's very exciting.
Well, you're the one who started it this time by, talking about it. Anyway, there was like a lot of articles and research that was sent to me saying that there's actually Cancerians are the most serial killers that have ever been, or murderers. I don't know if specifically serial killers. And a lot of people commented that it's actually Scorpios, but Scorpios don't get caught. And a lot of people said, what about Aquarians? And I said, Aquarians are the serial killers of your soul, but not of your body. Anyway, beautiful discussions that came out of this.
And if anything, we're just raising awareness about violent crime in the community. So, we haven't pretended to be authorities on this topic, but if anything helps raise awareness of people's safety, then,
Exactly. If less people are dating Virgos, if less people are dating Geminis.
If less people are dating.
It's like that meme when people say Britney released Work Bitch in 2013 and then the unemployment rates in America went down, so people started to work. And I'm like, when is the time that people start acknowledging Britney for her work towards the economy?
So you think violent crimes might actually reduce
by our
because
podcast.
of that post on Instagram?
Yeah, and I hope that people will recognize that and recognize us.
Awareness is the first step, 100%.
Definitely.
Interestingly as well, all of the signs that were serial killers were of a certain nature. So we haven't actually discussed this on the podcast just yet, but the star signs all fall into some different categories around their vibes, for want of a better word. So all of the serial killers that we thought were the highest proportion were all mutable signs.
Yes.
So mutable, do you want to explain what that is, Itai? You speak really well about it.
Well, we have the signs are split into 3 categories.
Yeah.
And it's cardinal, mutable, and fixed signs. And they all share different traits. So we all know about the division to elements and how the fire, air, earth, and water, but also these other divisions, and that's one of them. Let's talk about being a mutable sign, what does that mean?
Oh my God, what doesn't it mean? I'm a mutable sign, super proud of it. So mutable signs, well, actually, maybe it's better to start with the cardinal signs, because that's really the beginning. So the cardinal signs being, you'll have to remind me. So there's Aries.
So it's Aries and Libra. And then it's Capricorn and Cancer.
They're the cardinal ones?
Yeah.
Are they? So
yeah,
they start, they initiate.
Yeah, these are the initiators. These are the ones that like to start things. They
mess shit up. They get everything going.
Innovative.
The start of the season.
Yeah, and that's how Cancerians, which I always say Cancerians don't get credit for being funny. I think they're one of the funniest signs, and I think that comes from their cardinal traits. They somehow, even though they're very in their shell and they're very like to be at home, and we all know that, their cardinal quality of them is very out there in their humor, and I think in the workplace they will be more of an extrovert, even though they're usually not like that. So that's the cardinal energy of initiating and being the starter.
Getting shit done and started. And then we've got the fixed sign. So that's all about not maintaining the status quo, but doing the work that needs to be done in the moment. So continuing, chugging along. So that would include, you'll have to remind me again.
The fixed
signs.
So we have Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius.
Such a weird mix. Like, what would they all be talking about in an elevator? But that's another story. So fixed signs, keeping things moving.
Yes.
And doing all the hard work to stay as it is.
They don't like change.
They don't like change. And they don't like beginning new things either. They like it when you're right in the thick of it.
Yeah. And I know that some people will be like, wait, but Aquarius is all about reinventing the wheel and being changed and air, but it's still being having a fixed quality is still it's not necessarily I don't want change to ever happen, but it's questioning change. It's like, why are we changing? And is it worth it? They like to stick through to their projects, and they like to kind of like continue with what they started.
And then we have our group of lovely serial killers, the mutable signs, one of which I am, the Gemini, as you all hopefully know by now. So mutable signs are all about the change of the season, getting ready to mess shit up and dismantle everything and start again. So once the mutable signs have done their business, then we're ready again to go back into the cardinal signs, who will kickstart the cycle again.
Yes.
So it's really, really cool. So maybe read it. So we know they're the serial killers, but the
Gemini,
mutable signs, gems.
Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces.
Yeah, the crazy ones.
Yes. And happen to be all the serial killers on that list are mutable, which is, again, like, why, if you need any proof that astrology is real, just look at that list. And also
read Who needs proof as well?
Who needs proof? Ariana Grande believes in astrology. That's enough.
Exactly. And yeah, I just think it's so accurate and so true. And we weren't saying that other signs don't commit violent, crazy crimes. It's just the way in which they commit them. So the serial killers on that list all advocating for change and like these crazy, far-reaching rampages of violence. You might have some low-level, closeted violence.
Or like Aries people, they probably stab someone outside of a club. You know?
Like different vibes. So yeah, don't hate on this. There isn't really a whole lot of evidence that we're basing this on. It's just the vibe. So
I say beware of everyone.
Yeah.
Every star sign is guilty until proven innocent, which will never be. They'll never be proven innocent, especially when it comes to love. Yeah. Anyway, something else that happened recently was Gay Times Festival, which is a festival that happens in Australia, in Victoria, only for the LGBT community, which is as fun and terrifying as you might think it is, based on knowing that it's a festival for gay people.
Yeah, it was. So there are two friends that I have that are moving to Argentina, and so they were going, and I wanted to go and have a bit of a send-off with them, but mainly I'm just super excited that now I have friends that will be living in Buenos Aires, because I've never had cool friends living anywhere. I'm like, oh, my friend's in Sydney, my friend's in Melbourne, but like that's really it. Like I can't say, oh, my friend's in London, like I'm going to a wedding in London. I just don't have a wedding in London to go to.
Yeah, it's like other countries give friends or items that you bought there this halo
They
of
do exactly
excitement.
like I got these pants in Berlin. I got them in Amsterdam. Well, I don't have any pants from Berlin or Amsterdam or friends in Berlin and Amsterdam.
Also, like, it's an Adidas jumper. Like, if you got it in Amsterdam, it doesn't mean
it's still made in China.
Exactly.
In a sweatshop, unfortunately.
But still.
Yeah.
So they're going to Buenos Aires, and we all went to Gay Time Festival to kind of like celebrate and have a goodbye weekend.
And it was a fascinating little festival. I don't think it was the most highly organized festival I've been to. It felt like they dumped 1,000 people on a mountain and just hoped that they would be high or substance affected enough that they wouldn't notice that nothing was functional.
Yeah.
Which seemed to be the case for most.
It's funny because there's all these stereotypes about gay people, you know, like they can't build anything, they're not masculine enough, all these like stereotypes that we're trying to fight and to be like, no, being gay is, you can still be other things.
And
but
I know you're probably out there asking, like, is there anyone else in the LGBTIQ spectrum that was present at the festival? Like, are they visible? And my answer is, well, no and yes. So, like, they were there, but they are not visible participants in the festival in the same way that, it's a gay festival run by gay men for gay men, and other people seem to come along as well.
So the majority was definitely white gay males, but also I think the funny part, which I was starting to say how stereotypes are not real, but then when you get there and it's like and then we were like entering with our car, and the security asked the car next to us to open the boot. And the guy was like, oh my God, I don't even know how to open the boot. Like, I don't even know how to do it. And it was just so funny to see all these
the stereotypes. It was too much.
And we kept on looking around and thinking, this is a dystopian reality. If the world will be just gay people next week, it will slowly slowly end, slowly but surely. Like, they ran out of all the food, but they just kept, there was like enough lube and condoms for 3 years, but the food was running out.
I think the real hero of that festival was the sausage roll man. So there was no vendors selling any food for 2 or 3 days. There was just this one van that stayed open the whole time. One man sitting there selling every type of sausage roll, vegan sausage rolls, which were 100% not vegan, vegetarian sausage rolls, gluten-free sausage rolls. I think he just literally got a chalkboard and wrote all of the things, and he rubs it out after that festival, and then just, he was this magical man that was there 2 a.m, like the only food that was available was his sausage rolls, and he was so supportive and such a kind and homely presence in a very dystopian, dysfunctional,
society.
But fun festival. I mean,
Fabulous.
Yeah, every time I was walking up and down to the tent or to the stage, I would just, all you would hear would be, yes, slay, yes, bitch. And I'm just like, and then I got back to Melbourne and people were saying things like, yes. Like, just saying
Just
yes. No, yes. Like,
God.
yeah, bitch. And I was just like, oh my God.
My favorite part was when one of our friends was just making a drink for herself. Just a simple drink, some vodka and cucumber or gin, I don't know what it was. And one of our friends, a gay man, was like, yes, make that drink. And I was like, it's so nice, it's so supportive.
It does, it makes you feel great.
You're just making a drink, you're doing a simple, I was like, she's just doing a simple task.
But it's actually one of the most encouraging terms. Like, I know the whole term yes comes from a YouTube video and a whole culture, but we did a voguing class not too long ago with Nikki, who is the Libran that's on one of our earlier episodes. I'm glad no one knew that we were there because it was a woeful experience. It was, quite traumatic, but also really fun. But everyone in the class was so bad at it, like in a beautiful way, but we really couldn't do what the teacher could do. But the teacher just kept screaming, yes, yes.
Oh my God.
And it was so encouraging. I felt like $1 million. Like, I am this celebrity dancer, voguer, who is amazingly talented. Just from those 3 little letters, YAS.
And the tone.
The tone, like, yes, you're slaying it, you're nailing it. I'm
it's like complete support.
Yeah, and it's not discerning support. It doesn't matter what's happening or if you're good at it. It's just everything deserves a yes.
Makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even though I'm gay and I would consider myself to be an active gay, I go to protests, I care about the LGBT community and I support it. After being to the Gay Times Festival, I think it's important that there's also other sexual orientations, straight people that are, all over the spectrum, because really I am a bit fearful of a day where it's just gays ruling the world. Like, even the merch was just dildos and lube. Like, there wasn't anything. I'm like, surely
it's great. I think it's
more
great
to function. You need more in this world to function as a society.
No,
than
it
just
was
dildos.
sausage rolls, vegan cheese toasties, and lube and dildos, essentially, and a lot of rainbow-coloured gear that was not practical. Like, had it rained, we would have all just literally, like the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, the city of the Gay Times Music Festival would have been completely destroyed.
Exactly.
And our names would never have been spoken again.
What about that gadget? That gadget that is like a little bottle with a flashlight, with a torch attached to it. So if you want to put lube in the tent in the darkness, you light your little flashlight that is on top of this bottle, and then you can aim your lube exactly to where you want it to be.
Wow.
It's like people around the world inventing, trying to find a cure for cancer, or creating the DigiCam, the pill cam, which is a pill you can swallow, invented by the Israeli startups. You can swallow a pill and it takes picture of your entire internal body. And the lube flashlight bottle, which is, we all need one.
I don't understand why you wouldn't just use a torch, which can then also serve as a torch.
It's also lube, just like...
Why would you... Sometimes we've gone a bit too far. It's political correctness gone mad. I don't know. But I think it's great. I think, instead of mainstreaming everything, having festivals or functions or events that are for specific communities, like, of course, other people will feel excluded and like it's not for them, but there must have been a lot of people there that felt like, hey, this is my home, this is my space, and I own this space, and it's great. So
100%.
Interesting couple of days.
And I do want to say before we move on that having said all of what I said about, the gay community and the
taking it all back,
the scary future that is ahead of us with, gays taking the power, I still think that I had a few moments looking around me thinking, wow, it's incredible that all these people, I would love to see more people that are diverse and of, different genders and different ways of expression. But being there and seeing everyone and being celebrated and everyone just, being their full selves and not thinking I'm the minority in this group, or just even looking around and saying, oh, I can hook up with anyone here. I can hit on anyone here.
And I still won't.
And I still won't. And
I'll feel terrible about it.
And
but
I still did.
You can.
I still went to the tent, without anyone to hook up with, just me and the bottle of lube with a flashlight on top of it.
Oh, the best thing about that tent as well, everything was on a slope.
Oh, yeah.
So you fall asleep at the top of the tent, and in the morning you're in the bottom of the tent
sliding
in a
down.
fetal position. Literally a metaphor for life, like going downhill in your life was that tent. Anyway, great festival.
Great festival.
Completely disorganized, but yeah. And also, like, now all our listeners know that, like, we are people that go to the nature and go to music festivals.
Exactly.
So I'm not only a person now that has friends in Argentina, I have, experiences where I've been at festivals and in a tent. Like, that's, I just want to clarify that that's a really cool thing for me.
So cool.
So cool. So big things, very exciting. Another thing I think that I'd like to delve a bit deeply into, and no, everyone, it's not trauma and it's not intergenerational trauma, which, it drew my attention that I probably talk about that more often than I don't talk about it.
And you should.
And
yes to trauma.
Not yes to trauma, but yes to healing with the impacts of generational trauma. But yes aside, I have been thinking, talking, and feeling a lot about attachment issues. Now, this is a topic that me and you have probably alluded to or discussed in some depth throughout this podcast. And if you haven't heard of the themes of attachment in this podcast, I might need to hit you on the head with a pot.
What have you been listening to?
Who are you and why are you listening? Like, please don't stop listening. Like, we need everyone that we can get. But
I think some people listen to our podcast and maybe miss that we talk about it, because I have mentioned now maybe 10 times that I'm a male.
A man.
And I just received a message 2 days ago saying, hey girls, just binged 40 episodes of your podcast, which is all the episodes. Hey girls, love your podcast. I just binged 40 episodes. And I'm like, thank you so much. Like, just one of us is a guy, but like, thanks for listening. I'm like, how did you listen to 40 episodes and missed the 10 times I mentioned?
I actually think you're going to have to, maybe we'll need to include that in the intro. Like, hi, I'm Karen, I'm a woman. Or hi, I'm Itai, I'm a man. Like,
maybe, I don't know.
It's good to be broad about it, but that's a fascinating story in and of itself. Like, do they think you are a gay woman?
I don't.
You talk about, like,
no, they think I'm a
hookup
straight
culture and all.
Maybe they think I'm a straight woman. I don't know. Anyway, whatever I am,
it's very confusing.
Maybe it's like people see in me what they see in themselves or something. Like.
Or maybe they're just not listening to you.
Maybe they're just listening to you.
No, they're listening to you, but they're not hearing what you're saying. And this goes to the heart of attachment issues. And I've been talking about this a lot and thinking about it a lot, but lately it has been popping up in the culture and the music that I have been consuming, and I'm seeing these themes everywhere. And it all kind of came from a little while back, a Gemini friend of mine. I think she was intoxicated at the time, but she took me aside and she's like, Karen, you need to read this book. It's called Attached. You and I, we're both anxious, avoidant, attached. And I was like, okay, well, firstly, that's unsolicited advice that I did not ask for, but thank you. Second of all, I'm a member of about 10 different libraries, like some within Victoria, some within New South Wales. I've got literally 10 library cards, and when I go out, I take my 10 library cards out and put them aside because they're too heavy. And then when I come back, you know, after the weekend, I put them back in because you just never know. Anyway, so I got the book Attached from the library. It's by two, I think, Jewish people, Amir, Levine, and Rachel something something.
Why do Jewish people know anything about attachment and anxiety?
Exactly. What do they know? I don't know. But apparently the book's called Attached, just Attached. And then it says underneath the title, it is, quote unquote, the new science of adult attachment and how it can help you to find, in brackets, and keep love. So I love that it's kind of talking about how it's the science of attachment and how it's all about the science. And now this is the answer to all our attachment issues. Yeah. Anyway, I read about maybe 30% of the book, but I think it has a really interesting exploration of how our attachment styles impact how we love and how we feel safe. And I think it's also the reason why some of the artists that you know and love have been writing the best, most emotionally raw, real, and authentic music is because they're just stepping into their attachment issues.
So
I can even explain what it is.
I would love to understand what being attached, avoidant, anxious. I think I know a little bit about anxiety. Had my own experience with it, just a little bit. But what about other things?
Yeah, so the authors say that there are 3 dominant attachment styles which explain a lot about how we relate intimately to others, particularly in loving relationships or not loving relationships. So there's anxious, avoidant, and secure. I'll start with talking about secure people because it's the most boring and I don't seem to know anyone that identifies as a securely attached person. Apparently they make up 55 or so % of the population.
Don't believe this.
I don't know where the science, quote unquote, has come up with that statistic. But anyway, so secure people, in short, feel comfortable with intimacy and are usually warm and loving. And they're people that have healthy relationships and they might still break up with someone or be broken up with, but they don't see that as an indicator of their lack of worth. But similarly, they're not just avoiding any relationship at all cost.
So unicorns, they definitely exist.
Yeah, they apparently exist, securely attached people. Then we go to the anxious attachment style. So people that might fit more broadly into this category are preoccupied with their relationships. They worry about their partner's ability to love them back and they need a lot of validation and security. So they might constantly think the partner is cheating. They might constantly feel that if you don't prepare their meal for that day or don't answer their texts or their phone calls, that all of a sudden you don't love them and there's something wrong with them. So really stressed. Cancerians, it did come to mind, but there must be other people that feel that way. Then you move to the avoidant people who, badass bitches who seem to be, doing okay. But avoidant people equate intimacy with a loss of independence and constantly try to minimize closeness. So they can feel suffocated really easily and they might not respond to your texts or your calls. If you ask them, hey, what are you up to tonight or what are you doing? They feel like, oh my God, stop controlling my life. Why do you need to know where I'm going at all costs? And interestingly, avoidant people aren't completely devoid of wanting to attach or to connect. They still want to be close with people, but they can get bored pretty easily. So they might be really into it and then all of a sudden the switch flips and they're like, oh my God, I'm so bored or I'm suffocated. Cut it off. Not for me. Too close.
Wow. So I was trying to, as you were explaining, find star signs to match. And I was like, okay, secure. Who is a sign that is more secure in their relationship? And I was like, maybe Taurus. But I'm like, no, possessive. Maybe Leo. No, they need constant validation. Maybe this. But I think really the only easy way to split them is to either avoidant or attached. Or there's no people that are securely attached.
Yeah, I just, this 55% business, it's actually,
a myth.
Who is it? Is this the reason why the world has functioning buses and trains and ecosystems is because there's 55% of the people that are chugging along, doing what needs to be done. They're in healthy relationships. They're having kids. They're, reading the newspaper. I don't know. It terrifies me, this 55%. Some people, a very small percentage of people, combine both of those qualities. So they're anxious and they're avoidant. And as my psychologist was very comfortable to let me know in another expensive and distressing session, both of them stem from anxiety. So if you're avoidant and you're avoiding relationship and intimacy at all costs, it's usually because of an anxiety of, you know, getting too close to someone will end up in making you feel hurt, or you'll be too dependent, or you can't rely on people, or being by yourself is the safest way to be. And similarly, anxious people, the safest way they know how to be is to be close as possible, and any distance exacerbates that feeling of not feeling safe and secure. So some people have a bit of both of them. My friend, the Gemini, who introduced me to this book, was like, we are both of them. We have them both. I think fearful avoidant is the term. Anyway, so I have been fascinated with attachment stuff. And look, it's a weird and it's not the best book for anyone who loves short surveys online.
Who doesn't?
I mean, and anyone that loves astrology is going to love a short survey about personalities, because it's a way of explaining things without any evidence, without any effort. You just go online, you find out why you are the way that you are. So it's kind of similar, but you can go on Huffington Post and research Amir, Levine, the book attached, and you can take a little test. So me and Itai did it this morning. It's a little survey where it asks you questions about, you know, do you feel needy? Do you feel, you know, what happens to you when your partner doesn't respond to your text immediately? All these questions. So we obviously did it. You got hard avoidant.
Hard ass avoidant.
Yeah, which is no surprise.
No surprise. Listen, I am what I am. I am who I am. Virgo moon, Aquarius ascendant. I don't know when my Taurus Venus comes to play, but it feels like it's been asleep for the past 30 years.
Like a Taurus.
Yeah, but I think, and maybe people with air and earth moon signs and maybe Venus signs or ascendants will relate to that. I am, and I say that with some sadness as well, but I can't when someone takes over my independence, when someone asks me, but what should we do this weekend? Should we go to your parents or my parents? Like in relationships, it kills me from the inside.
And from the outside.
And from the outside. And yeah, I'm avoidant. There is, it's like Teflon, like Teflon pen.
Water off the duck's back.
Yeah, well, like oil and water. Give any metaphor that is about rejecting two matters that are just can't stick. And they wrote in the explanation for being avoidant, they wrote, you like to keep your partner at an arm's length.
Yep.
And my ex-boyfriend, after we broke up, he started a Twitter account for a month. And he just tweeted about our breakup for a month. And this Twitter account still exists. Every now and then, like once a week, I go and read the things. And one of his tweets there was, things you told me in the breakup made me realize how far away I was from you.
Okay, well, that's just not a nice thing to say.
Oh, he said a lot of...
So I don't want to, I don't think that should be the truth of your attachment style based on someone's Twitter account.
Yeah, one of his tweets was also, I will never jump into anything the way I jumped into...
Good. Maybe that's good.
Wait, let me finish. One of his... I can't, the Gemini mind.
The Gemini mind. Sorry.
One of his tweets was, clearly I'm just like dissecting my breakup here, so give me a chance. Give me like a minute.
Sorry, the floor is yours.
So one of his tweets was, I will never jump into anything the way I jumped into us. And then right after it was like, go to see a psychologist, exclamation points. Like there's no capital letters in Hebrew, but it was probably like all capitals. Anyway, so where was I going with that? Yeah. He was basically commenting about how...
On your avoidant attachment style.
Yes.
But there's nothing... I guess the point of this book is there's nothing wrong with all these attachment styles. And also, as I said, it's a pretty stupid book, even though it's quote-unquote based on the science. So one of the reviews on the back of the book is by, I think his name is John Gray, saying it's such an amazing book. Now, John Gray, I'm definitely getting his name wrong, but he wrote another classic novel, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus.
Oh my God.
So you really get the sense of the validity of this book based on the people that are giving it 2 thumbs up. So he thinks it's a groundbreaking book of science. I'm sure a lot of people out there had the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus in their house. It's just, creepy. But anyway, it sold billions of copies. I don't know if the book attached did as well, but there's nothing wrong with any of these attachment styles. Obviously, the authors have a lot to say about when an anxiously attached person hooks up or is in relationship with an avoidant attached person. That is a cocktail and recipe for, well, either some great artwork or some deep trauma that you will spend the rest of your life dealing with, or both.
If you're lucky, both.
The basic gist of the book is that we all need to be with secure attached people, which I think is a crock of shit, because where are these people? And they're not hot. It's not hot for me. Anyway, very interesting. Of course, I got anxious attached, which I'm also surprised at, because I can be anxious and avoidant and identify with both on different days of the week. But I guess to use another metaphor, I think we've used quite a few, but that's like literally someone will give you a breadcrumb and you just want the loaf. You want the whole loaf, but you'll just jump on that little breadcrumb of affection. Yeah. And it's, but I can also identify with your avoidant tendencies as well, like that feeling of suffocation and needing your autonomy and your independence and being bored with things quickly. Anyway, so really interesting. Go look it up if you're interested in that. But I think why this has been so heightened for me lately is because I've been deep into Ariana Grande's new album. I know we talk about her a lot and perhaps give her a bit too much attention, but I can't help but talk about this amazing new album, which I've been listening to on repeat. I think this is an album that explains anxious and avoidant attachment styles so succinctly and so beautifully. Like, oh my God, I could just talk about it a lot. We talked about it. I guess there are 2 songs in the album that epitomize those 2 attachment styles really well. Yeah. So
we each has one song that is our style of attachment. So Karen, what's yours?
Okay, so mine would be her song Needy. Which some people might be surprised at, because I can totally be a bad bitch that's avoidant AF sometimes, but on the inside I'm just just need love like the rest of us, and just hoping to find it in a hopeless place like the rest of us, aka like Rihanna. But yeah, some of the lyrics to this song, and literally it's called Needy, and literally it's by a Cancerian who talks about being so needy all the time, so I just love it. So she says, if you take too long to hit me back, I can't promise you how I'll react. But all I can say is at least I'll wait for you. Lately I've been on a roller coaster trying to get a hold of my emotions, but all that I know is I need you close. And I can be needy, way too damn needy. I can be needy. Tell me how good it feels to be needed. I can be needy, so hard to please me. I know it feels so good to be needed. I just love it. She says, I'm obsessive and I love too hard. Good at overthinking with my heart. And also I love, she has this whole bit, because if anyone's seen Ariana Grande being interviewed, she says sorry every 5 seconds. She goes, sorry. And it's endearing and frustrating and gorgeous at the same time. But in the lyrics to this song, she similarly says, sorry if I'm up and down a lot. Yeah. Sorry that I think I'm not enough.
Yeah.
Yes. And sorry if I say sorry way too much. I just love it.
Oh my God.
I could read the whole thing, but it's, neediness. Then she's kind of talking about how hot it can sometimes feel to be around someone that's crazy obsessed with you, and
I can't. It makes me feel sick to my
It
stomach.
suffocates. It also makes me feel sick too. That's the avoidant qualities in me yearning to be heard as well. But
and I'm not criticizing people that are needy or anxious attached, because I think it makes me sick, because to me vulnerability is weakness.
Yeah, but that's what I love about Ariana's way of covering the whole gamut of social feelings and emotions. She talks about that sick feeling of that neediness that we have in relationship, where you feel like you're falling off the edge of a cliff and you can't control it, and you're at the behest of someone sending you a little thumbs up emoji after you've written them 10 text messages in a row, and then you see that they've posted on Instagram and haven't hit you back. And
the beauty of an Ariana Grande album is that right after Needy comes a song called NASA, which is the song about being avoidant. And they're both so extremely different. And NASA will be the song that I introduce about being an avoidant bitch. So she's literally saying, I'd rather be alone tonight. You can say I love you through the phone tonight. Really don't want to be in your arms tonight. I'll just use my covers to stay warm tonight. And then she goes, my favorite line maybe that was ever written in music. Ain't no checking on when I get home tonight. Which is my least favorite when in a relationship, when people are like, when are you getting home? Or like, it's like, it's almost like someone's waiting for you. And like everything you experience right now is until you get back to that person. Oh. It's terrifying to me. And she's basically chanting then for the rest of the song, I'm a need space, I'm a need space, I'm a need space. And she's saying like there's nothing wrong with some me time. And also a line that I really relate to was, yeah, I'm just saying, baby, I can't really miss you if I'm with you. And when I miss you, it will change the way I kiss you. And I think the best time in my relationship with one of my boyfriends was when I was in a different country and we would talk on the phone or on Skype. And I would feel so much love for that person, and I was like, I love him so much
because it's safe for you. It's like there's enough emotional distance that you can still feel all of this abundant love.
Yeah, but then when I come back, I will be like, I'm gonna need space. I'm gonna need space.
Yeah,
like, I can't.
And I love the comparison of space and outer space. Hence the name NASA. Like, great, very modern.
She's saying if I'm the universe, then you're the NASA, which is like you're NASA.
I love it. And look, the main thing being that she has channeled her anxious and avoidant experiences in relationship into some bangers.
Yeah, and you should obviously all listen. You should obviously all go to the online quiz that will tell you if you're attachment or if you're anxious or avoidant. And you know what, while you're at it, do other online quizzes that will help you understand who you are, like which Disney princess are you, or like which
Britney song are you,
which Starbucks drink are you, and
yes,
which Britney song are you.
I'm a caramel latte. What Starbucks drink are you?
Oh my god, I'm definitely
you're the pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice, yes, all the way.
Pumpkin spice latte,
rare, and you can only get it for 1 month a year. I'm joking. And Karen, I think maybe for you, what Britney song you are, because you're both anxious and avoidant, but like you're like on the phrase of I'm not a girl, not yet a woman. Maybe it's like I'm not anxious, not yet avoidant. You know, you're like kind of like all you need is time, a moment that is yours.
While I'm in between, and again as a Gemini, I guess floating between both of those styles. And look, and it's super flexible. We all have a combination of both. We're not all one thing, but I find it absolutely fascinating now to start interpreting all the songs that I absolutely love through the lens of anxious or avoidant. Like, I find it so fun. I went to a gig last night of a local, I would say A-grade musician, Laura Jean, and I started interpreting all of her music through this lens of wanting to get close and wanting to get distant to people that we love, and how that is such a fertile ground for creating amazing and relatable art, because we've all felt on either of those spectrums. Like one of her lyrics, well, one of the best lyrics that she wrote, I think, was I want to lick your heart, which was a bit gross but interesting as well. I think it's a very beautiful...
Well, what's her star sign?
Well, I was debating with my friend her star sign. I thought she was a Cancerian because one of the audience members were being very familiar and very participatory. I think it was at the Corner Hotel, which is kind of a smallish, mid-level gig space in Melbourne. And so people felt very familiar and comfortable to just participate and say positive things. But also one of the audience members said something in a really Aussie ochre accent. And Laura Jean has a really thick accent. And she threw some shade back, saying like, she just got really serious. And she was like, you know, I really hate it when people, you know, call things out and mock my accent, because I'm literally from the coast. Like, I'm from an Australian town. This is how I speak. And I was like, whoa, she's got to be like a Cancerian, like emotional, sensitive, like. But then all of a sudden she whipped out a fucking saxophone and starts jamming along. I thought she was just an amazing songwriter, and she starts doing all these jazzy runs on her saxophone. And I tried to explain to my friend, like, no one just plays the saxophone. You don't pick it up and play it at school camps.
Yeah.
Or bring it along and just, it is a nerdy, hard to learn, very difficult instrument. And that's when I should have known that she was a Virgo, because she was playing all these instruments amazingly well, and that deep Virgo sensibility and sensitivity.
Because lick your heart.
Lick your heart. It's
Virgo serial killer vibe.
It is Virgo. And she has another song, which again, anxious, avoidant attachment. It's literally about when you feel smothered but close in a relationship. And the song goes, you make me feel like I can be myself. Sometimes I miss being somebody else. Like, you make me feel so at home, but I actually just want to be free. And I loved that juxtaposition of the security and the stability that we need to feel safe, but the autonomy and the freedom to explore that we also crave in relationship all the time. So beautiful. Anyway, check out her music, Laura Jean, really great. I did write to her after the show because I love when people are celebrities, but I still feel like they might respond to me if I just chat with them online, and they often do. And so I just wrote being like, hey, what up? Great show. What star sign are you? I thought you were a Cancerian. And she did respond, which I got very excited about. And she's a Virgo. I was just shocked. And she was like, yeah, I'm Virgo, super hardworking, practical, being of service. I'm like, yes.
When will Beyonce start a petition to change the name of the star sign Virgo to Beyonce? I can totally see that happening.
Seriously. And like, yeah, I think that's why I really appreciate the worksmanship of, amazing Virgos like Michael Jackson and Beyonce. They are chipping along, doing all the hard yards, and that sensitivity as well. Like, sometimes we forget that Virgos are quite sensitive.
They're so sensitive.
They're sensitive, and they do feel, and they do like to put what they experience into a concrete outcome. So I want to create something that the world can then experience.
Definitely.
So it's interesting. I do get shocked. I keep mixing Cancerians and Virgos up when I'm trying to read people's star signs. So anyway, just a little aside.
So we're leaving you today with a lot of homework.
A lot of homework, yes.
Decide if you're attached or avoidant. You don't need to read the book. I think you know enough to make a decision. I didn't read even like the description of the book, and I already,
and
gave myself a, how do you call it? Assessment.
And diagnosis. Almost.
Go do a online quiz. Any online quiz. And maybe if you want to share it with us, we love knowing more about you.
Yes. If anyone out there is listening and does the test or the survey online and gets secure attached, I would love to maybe interview you, talk to you, understand what's it like living in your shoes. And yeah, I mean, we're not going to be friends. No, but it'd be nice to kind of investigate you and learn from you.
Secure people wouldn't want to be friends with us.
They're not listening to this podcast. No. I would be absolutely shocked if someone that is securely attached does, is listening and does, I don't know, had anything to relate to with what I'm saying. But
who knows? And the last piece of homework is, as Karen said, listen to Laura Jean.
Oh, yeah.
Another Virgo. And
listen to Ariana Grande's new album.
Oh my God.
So we will never have to mention her again, because I need to know that everyone's listened to the new one, and then I will not go talk about her for another 10 episodes. I probably will, but she's freaking amazing and doing a service to people everywhere.
Thank you to anyone that's listening to us. Yeah. We love you.
We want to lick your hearts.
We want to lick your heart, and we can't wait till next week to another episode of Astrology Roast.